Okay. So, first and foremost, I'll acknowledge that I goofed. I had every intention of trying to do at least one recording a week to capture and document my sabbatical. Well, that didn't happen. So I'm going to do a quick summary of where we're at. This is now January 13th, 2025. Um, I'm 3 months in. I have a recording from like literally like week one where I had this cool idea to try to document everything. And then I got swept up in life, you know? And I'm piecing together. I have all sorts of scraps of stuff, but not this, not me trying to like keep up to date. I'll take you out in a second. Basically, October was the month that I got laid off, and that first month was kind of frenetic. I was like, there's so much stuff to figure out with unemployment and insurance, and I'm also so happy and in a weird way. I know it's weird to be happy because you're laid off, but I had been planning and preparing for a long time, and I was not happy in my job. So it was a huge weight off my shoulders. And so a lot of stuff happened. Like when I started seeing a therapist right before that layoff because I was prepping for some craziness. Um, and I was just like scrabbling to try to catch up, like clean up and reorganize my life. A bunch of projects and clear the deck mentality. I was also prepping to travel in November. So I was racing to get so much done. All of that weird, just every day you wake up and you have to do everything. I still had that energy, but I just could apply it to stuff in my personal life rather than just work. And, honestly, it was great. I had a lot of joy, a lot of just like wild joy that month. But also a lot of like panic. It was a lot more like, oh God, like, crazy, it was hard to cope with, but there was a lot of just fucking delight and happiness and joy. November, and trying to just get on top of shit, get a feeling of that and trying to like clear out my life a little bit and do a bunch of little tiny projects that have just all been building up and declutter. November, I was traveling for most of November. I spent a week in Paris, almost 2 weeks in Portugal. And that was all about really getting momentum on my web app and also a week of actual rest in Paris. Paris was amazing. It was just looking good. And, we just kind of took our time throughout the week and didn't really worry about anything. I read, I drank wine pretty much every night, which I don't recommend drinking all the time, but it feels very different in Paris. I didn't get hungover a single time. And we just woke up when we woke up and went out and had coffee and, journaled. And it was just the most delightful week. It was like a snapshot of what life could be, like of a beautiful life. Just, you know. And that I think really kind of started to begin the process of like, okay, I can rest a little bit, you know. And then of course in Portugal, I was just really focusing on the app and this coursework. And I made a lot of progress, got a lot of momentum, but I kind of like I missed home and I came home. And so then I was really excited from like the end of November and on to just really sink into being home, trying to learn about like concepts of rest, trying to be and keep movement and momentum on the app. And then December is the holidays. So through December, I kept working on the app. I also really kind of found myself falling and finally like really getting into an exercise routine. And yeah, no, that's really silly. But really fun trying to like figure out, okay, stop trying to do everything and I do a lot of therapy. I was doing a lot of therapy throughout this whole therapy every week throughout this process, this whole time. Um, and in December things kind of really came to a head. I kind of realized like I had some stuff with my dad that I needed to figure out, and tying into the burnout and all the shit that I was dealing with before was this concept of perfectionism. And a really good friend of mine recommended this book, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, and he talks about his concept he calls imperfectionism. And, read the book, it's really great, really helpful if you're dealing with anything like what I've been dealing with. Long story short, you have to accept the truth and the fact that you will not get everything done. And we convince ourselves and are convinced that if we just work hard enough and do enough or are good enough or whatever, figure out the right system, we'll be able to get everything we want done. That is a lie that causes so much pain and so much distress. So it's not only in like perfectionism isn't just the doing everything that you do perfectly or really, really well, but it's that you feel like you could do everything. And I get hit on both of those. So that's been really sinking in, and that ties to shit with my dad and the way I grew up, and also capitalism and all this stuff. So now starts January, go into the new year, and I'm like, I got it. I'm just focusing on rest. I'm focusing on learning how to do rest and recovery correctly, or in a way that's good. Again, not perfect, but just better than what I've done before, because that's the only way you're going to do anything sustainably for a long time. And what truly gets good results is putting in reps, just being consistent and showing up and doing the damn thing for a long time. That's how you get to real creativity and really doing something novel and new and interesting. It's just, because if you keep just walking the same path, trying a bunch of things, going, until it stops being interesting, or you get pulled to the next most interesting thing, ADHD, you're always going to end up in the beginning phases of things and never go to the depths. And ultimately, quality largely comes from repetition and from quantity, not from, just pure like getting it right, or effort or whatever. So, and what gets you that repetition, that consistency, that volume of work is enjoying it. Getting outside of this idea of it being done or being done perfectly, but just like enjoying the process so you show up and continue doing it. The good shit sticks is another quote from that. So I'm really trying to simplify my whole life. 2025, like I said, it's learn how to rest and do rest and recovery correctly. It's a skill that I just realized I'm not very good at. I want to focus on my physical and mental health and just my lifestyle. Um, and finishing this app. So I'm like, all right, I kind of get into January. January, I realize should be a month of rest. One of the big goals that I have, one of the things that I'm really, really curious about pursuing is becoming a firefighter. Um, for a variety of reasons, but basically it seems like one, it's a job that kind of builds in physical fitness into your life, and that's really important to me. It's a real thing, like you're helping people in real situations. You're part of a community and giving back and doing something like good, you know? Um, that feels really amazing to me and calls to me, um, rather than just information work, which is what I've always done or done for the last decade. Also, the schedule I think is really compelling. It feels to me like it will be. My understanding is that it's two 24-hour days. So you work 2 long days where you're there, you sleep there, you can work out there if there's no crises going on, whatever. And then that's 5 days a week that you are available to do other things. And that's where I believe I have the potential to continue my tech career and do it on my own terms. So this idea of the firefighter is like if that can become a baseline that makes me enough money to cover my bills and my cost of living, and I enjoy the work, it's meaningful, it keeps me in shape, keeps me like connected to the real world, and then I have the ability, like I said, that covers the concept of enough. Then I've got 5 days a week to pursue other things. That seems really amazing. And also potentially really good benefits. So, and with everything going on with the LA fires and shit like that, it's just this weird Kisnet energy. And I like the idea of having a diversified skill set, and something solid and consistent and pretty much universal. I mean, fires are an issue everywhere and probably always will be. Um, because the tech world's crazy, and I don't want to fucking work for another money grubbing tech CEO. So I'm not saying no to tech, but this is something that calls to me that I really want to explore. Okay, I'm almost wrapping up here. Long story short, I found out that if I'm going to do it in 2025, it starts this week. I have to start training this week. There's a class. I've got to do Fire 1, Fire 2, and my EMT certification. And that's basically, I'm going to be in classes from this week, Orientation starts in 2 days, through July. So it's about 7 months of training. And on top of that, I also have to do the CPAT test, which is a physical fitness test it's not nothing. There is a single part of it that's pretty fucking difficult, and I actually have to really specifically train for. And so it's unifying. Again, I now have a singular goal to train for physically, which is awesome. It feels like it's really paying off. And again, I'm going to be in part-time classes for the next 7 months. So I'm a little sad because I wanted more time to fuck off. That's true. I wanted like another 2 months of doing whatever I want, and then shit would get real in end of February time frame. But shit's getting real now. But it's part time. It's part time. How am I going to complain that I have shit to do 3 days a week? It's structure, and this brings to light that I need to want to learn to can I do this and then rest. You know, make good use of the time that I have to rest and do what I need, and continue pursuing tweak building the applications and doing all this other stuff. So I'm setting myself up for an interesting year. It's going to be challenging but doable. Like it's like the edge point theory. You grow the most when things are difficult, but you can do it all. And I think we're right there. And I'm also not gonna, and I'm done being a perfectionist this year. You know, that's it. I'm done with it. I won't be perfect about that. That's there's a paradox in there of like expecting yourself to be perfect about not being a perfectionist. But I am just done identifying that way, and I'm going to actively, for the rest of my life, recognize that perfectionism is an evil that just holds me back. Um, I am an imperfect being. I will only get so much done, but I'm going to try to do the biggest, most important things. And I'm going to really focus on just trying to enjoy the process and of what I'm doing, and to break the habit of rushing everything. So, no one wants to watch a 12-minute video of me talking about myself. And this is really for me to capture. But that's a quick, very high level overview of the macro themes of the last 3 months and what, is coming up next. And just for fun, there's been a ton of side quests, leather work, learning how to sew, HEMA, um, and it's just things are great. Things are really good. I'm really happy. I will say this is some of the happiest I've ever been. The more that I just let myself be here and accept that this is enough and feel gratitude for like I literally don't want my life to change. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing right now. I don't want anything different. There's tons of cool new things. I'm not against change, but I'm no longer chasing more, you know. It's like I have everything I need and then some. It's just how do I keep this going and enjoy it? Just fucking be present, you know. All right.